Fine. So let us start. So this is the first class of the dynamics. So statics we have already covered. So first let us discuss the syllabus. So in this actually what we will be having is one is the rectilinear motion. Simple harmonic motion. Projectiles. Projectiles. Constrained motion. Work and energy. Work and energy. Kepler's law of orbits under central forces. Orbits under central forces. Right. So this actually projectiles actually it was a subheading of planar motion. Right. So this is the entire syllabus what we are going to discuss as part of this dynamics. Right. So friction is a small concept actually which I will cover somewhere in between. So friction. Now see this. So rectilinear motion, simple harmonic motion, motion in a plane. So in that actually projectiles, circular motion was not given. Constrained motion, work and energy, Kepler's laws, orbits under central forces. So this is the entire syllabus, which is very short syllabus. And then actually every topic I can say it is important. Why? Because sometimes actually questions were asked based on the rectilinear motion and the simple harmonic motion together. So because the rectilinear motion and the simple harmonic motion are one and the same, there is no difference at all. And then actually projectiles, planar motion actually it was not asked any time. And then the questions that are going to be asked actually mostly the Kepler's laws and orbits under central forces. So this is actually mandatory questions I can say in this particular section, right? Now, so this is the syllabus and the book actually what we are going to follow is the Krishna series, or actually we can follow our material itself. Krishna series dynamics book. Right? So do you have any questions specific to the introduction? Anything you wanted to know about this? Weightage. So statics and dynamics actually together it will be around minimum 60, maximum 70 marks. So because actually together is a single topic, statics and dynamics. So weightage can vary here and there. So 30, 40 or actually 35, 35. Like that actually it can vary between these two topics. But 60 to 70 marks mandatory, and that too the importance of this topic is actually the questions were spread across multiple questions. That's why you cannot take this as a choice. So that is the important in this point. But any other? Right? Okay. Now let us see how we are going to analyze this. Now let us say if you wanted to study a particle under motion, right? Now in what way actually you are going to see? Suppose actually if I wanted to study a particle under motion, then what are all the things you wanted to know? What is meant by analysis of a particle under motion is, so first and foremost thing is actually what is the displacement mode, and the second question is what is the velocity. Third question is what is the acceleration. And the fourth question is with what force it started moving. The motion was started. right? Now, all the first three sections actually we study as kinematics, and the involvement of force actually, which we call this as the dynamics. But actually, both are actually same subject, so no difference. So this entire actually we call this as the mechanics. Now, so these are all the important information actually we wanted to look. In case if your particle is under motion, these are all the information we wanted to know. So that is meant by the study of the dynamics, right? Now in this, suppose if you wanted to mention a particle under motion, obviously you need to put it into the coordinate systems. And the coordinate systems, for the analysis purpose, what we do is actually we will try to divide into three different dimensions. One is the single dimensional motion, another is the two-dimensional motion, and another is the three-dimensional motion, right? But luckily we have got only the analysis of only first single dimensional and two-dimensional. So there is nothing related to three-dimensional we are going to study as part of this dynamics. Now a particle under motion which is on a single dimension, meaning suppose actually if a particle actually moving along this particular straight line. So this rectilinear motion is otherwise called as a straight line motion. That means this rectilinear motion, simple harmonic motion, and motion under straight line. So all the three terms implies a single point. So that is a single dimensional motion, right? So rectilinear motion motion under straight line simple harmonic motion. So all these three actually we will study as a single dimensional motion. What is a single dimensional motion is, suppose if a particle is moving under straight line, maybe forward direction, maybe backward direction, it doesn't matter. But as long as it is on a straight line, and that kind of motion which we call as the single dimensional motion. So in that case, actually, we will be worrying about only one variable called the displacement Ex, right? So first of all, we need to understand what is your displacement. So displacement meaning positional change. So the position got changed from one location to another location, which is what we call as a displacement change. So the particle initial, which was here, now the center of mass of this particle is moved to a different location, this one. So that means as long as the center of mass is moved from one location to another location, we say that this particle is displaced from point A to point B. This length actually, if you call this is x, then this is called as the positional change. So this value is called as the displacement. So this is the displacement. By making the word positional change, we are not worrying about the path of the travel. So that is very important to note. So as long as this particle is moved in this direction to here, or actually it's moving on this straight line. Now in both of these cases, the positional change is from here to here itself. It doesn't matter whatever the amount of the distance it is going to be moved, right? So the word displacement meaning the positional change, not the distance traveled. So both are different, right? So usually we calculate the speed as distance by time. So this is the distance by time, and velocity is the displacement by time. So that is actually velocity and speed are not the same, right? But instantaneous velocities, if you consider it, then actually it is exactly the same, because instantaneous velocity is from here to here when it is displaced. Obviously this you can treat as a straight line. Hence actually the velocity and the speed are one and the same as long as you are considering a linear, piecewise linearization of this particular entire length, right? That means small distances you are considering that as a straight line, and hence distance and displacement will be same. So at one point this is displaced from here to here, another point is displaced from here to here, another point is displaced from here to here. That means instantaneously we are trying to calculate the velocity, not the overall average velocity, which is different. Got it? Now, so but actually when we calculate the velocity, we always calculate the displacement change divided by time. So we have got one value which is called as the displacement Ex. Now this displacement, which is a single variable now, hence we are trying to analyze this as a straight line motion. Suppose the analysis you wanted to make it as a two-dimensional motion. Now in such case actually there is an x-axis and there is a y-axis. Now suppose path of the projectile, if you try to consider it, so this is going to be a parabola which we say. That means you need to be mentioning about two different displacements at any instant of the time. Two different displacements. One in the x direction, another is the y direction. And this kind of analysis, or as long as you are using two different variables for the identification of the position, and this is called as a two-dimensional motion. Suppose if it is of 3D, then actually in the space, actually if it is moving, then actually we say that is a 3-dimensional motion, right? Suppose if a particle is moving in an helical shape, then that is a 3-dimensional motion. Now suppose if I throw a ball, then actually we say that it is a projectile which is following a parabolic path, right? Now is it a 3-dimensional motion or a 2-dimensional motion? Projectile is a 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional? It is moving in space, right? How can we call that as a 2D? So when we throw the ball actually is moving in the space. How we are considering as XY? It should have been considered as XYZ, right? Okay, right? Yeah, exactly. So it is a moving always in a single plane. That is the reason. Suppose actually I throw this pen like this. So if I throw this pen, then actually the way I wanted to analyze is, so this height actually I treat as the y-axis, and in the direction of which actually I am moving this pen, that I treat as the x-axis. Now if I throw the pen like this, so this I treat as the x-axis and this as the y-axis, then actually the path of the particle is of parabolic again. Now suppose actually if I move in this direction, if I try to throw the pen like this, then actually this is the x-axis and this is the y-axis. Now whatever the direction I throw it, in that direction itself actually if I treat as the x-axis, then I don't need to consider the other axis. So y and z, so x and y values are sufficient enough so that you will be able to analyze it, because in the z direction it is not moving. Got it? So that is the reason actually a planar motion is used to analyze for the projectiles. If you take a circular motion, that is again a planar motion. So hence actually the particle is moving in a circular fashion, it is again a planar motion. So it is a generalized approach, how you wanted to treat it, so that is up to you. So this is a 2-dimensional planar motion. And the simple harmonic motion is, suppose actually there is a spring mass system, and this spring mass system from the mean position, if it is dragged into this extent and then actually leave it, then actually it is moving till this extent and again it is coming back. So moving till this extent and it is again coming back. Now in this case actually if you notice, so this is the displacement moment. So if this you treat as origin, and this is the positive x direction, this is the negative x direction. But if you notice, this is a one-dimensional analysis which we can adapt to analyze this, right? So that is the reason actually a simple. So this motion, oscillatory motion, so to and fro motion actually, which we call as the simple harmonic motion. Even the simple harmonic motion is also a one-dimensional motion. Got it? So like this actually we have got one-dimensional motion as the major portion. And then actually, in the case of the 2-dimensional, we will have only the projectile motion. So that is actually most of the times actually we have studied at +2 standard itself. And the third one is orbits under central forces, that is at graduation level. So that actually is the one which was focused more. Orbits under central forces, it has got certain characteristics that will also be analyzed with the help of the planar motion only. And along with that, actually Kepler's laws actually were derived based on the orbits under central forces. So study of the Kepler's laws is nothing but study of the Kepler's laws is the orbits under central forces. Right? It has got certain characteristics. So whenever there is a central force, so the central force actually always causes a planar motion only. So central force planar motion, right? Now what is a central force? Can anybody have any idea? What is a central force? Which force is called as a central force? Anybody? Okay, let me explain. What is a central force is, if the line of action of the force, if it always passes through a single point, then that particular force is called as a central force. Suppose you take planet moving around the sun. Now let us say this is the center, so sun location. And then, so there is a planet that is rotating about the sun, and the attractive force between these two masses always lies on this particular line. So the sun always attracts there in this particular direction. So the line of action of the force, if you try to draw it, so that is exactly passing through the center of the sun. Suppose if this planet moved till this extent, then actually again the line of action is actually passing through this. And if this is the planet location, again the line of action of this particular force actually again passes through the same point. Now, as long as all the forces or the line of action of the forces actually passes through a single point, under the influence of this kind of force, where it is passing through a single point, is called as a central force. So this is the central force, right? So this central force actually, it has got certain characteristics. So it is always due to the attractive force between these two, it is rotated in a tangential fashion. So this kind of motion actually, it is always a planar motion. We will prove mathematically. A planar motion, right? Now this planar motion actually will be having certain characteristics. So that's characteristics which we call as the Kepler's laws. So which states that every planet tries to rotate around the sun with sun as in an elliptical path around the sun with sun as one of its focus. So that is the first statement of the Kepler's, right? And the second statement is it swipes, or the radial vector joining the sun to the planet swipes equal areas in equal intervals of time. That means suppose actually if the planet is here, and this planet actually to move from here to here, let us say it takes a time of t1, and then actually in this time the area that is going to be covered by this radial vector from the sun to this particular planet, so this area if you consider it, now within the same time if the planet moves from here to here, let us say it took the same amount of time t1, and then actually if you draw this sector, this area and that area will be exactly the same. So that is the second law of the Kepler's, right? It swipes equal areas in equal intervals of time. And the third one, this also we will prove mathematically. And the third one, what he states is t square by r cube equal to constant, where t is the period of revolution of the planet, or any planet actually which is rotated about the sun. If the period is going to be of t, and then this r value is the length of the major axis. So that is semi-major axis. From this point actually from here to here, whatever the length it is going to be there, and that value if you consider it, so t by r cube value is always maintained constant for all the planets which are rotating around the sun. So this is the third law. And all these characteristics actually brought from the principle of the central force. So if this is a central force, all these rules are valid. And this is the concept actually what we are going to study as part of the dynamics. And then actually orbits under central forces actually is extended to derive the differential equation of the orbits. So that is actually we will be studying only in the Kepler's laws as the elliptical path. But actually there can be other planets which are rotated, or actually it may be moving in a different paths, like a parabolic path or hyperbolic path, or in some random path which is following certain path, right? So that path equation also we can calculate based on the central force equations. Got it? So this is what actually we are going to study as part of the dynamics, right? And I think so that's all, right? Anything else? So rectilinear motion, simple harmonic motion, projectiles, constrained motion. So constrained motion is actually you are constraining a particle to move in a specific path, then that is called as a constrained motion. Suppose actually if you tie a ball to the thread and then try to rotate it like this, now in this case actually you are constraining the particle to move only in a circular fashion. So because actually you are constraining with the thread. Suppose if I throw the ball within the shell, a spherical shell if you take it, within that actually if I throw the ball, then actually I am constraining the ball to move only within the shell. So there is a constraint I have adopted there. So such kind of motion if you wanted to analyze it, so that's what actually we call as this is the constrained motion. And then work and energy. So work and energy are the important aspects of any dynamics topic. Do we need to extend to satellite? No, right? So day per study is not required, but satellite path actually will be analyzing it. So that is what we call as the central force orbit. Got it? And then actually, so work and energy. So as and when there is a force, obviously force causes certain amount of the displacement, and the amount of the force and the displacement, which is what we call as the work. And that work actually, which is always there as and when there is a force. And then actually the work was done because somebody has energy or somebody has released the energy. So energy and work are one and the same. So that's what we call as work energy theorem, which we are going to study that as well. And then actually, so I think that's all. So this is about the complete syllabus of the dynamics. So do you have any questions on this? Any questions? Right, so this is the syllabus. Now coming to the basics, so first actually we'll take a single dimensional motion so that actually everybody might be aware of it. Let us say a particle is moved from this particular point A to a different point B. Then, so let us say this moved a displacement of x. Then time rate of change of displacement is defined as the velocity. That means actually how fast it is moving, that is decided based on the velocity. So the velocity is defined as dx by dt. And similarly, acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. Rate of change of velocity dv by dt, which is equal to a. Or a can also be treated as d square x by dt square. Right? So this is the acceleration. And then actually coming to the dynamics, so mass, so F is equal to rate of change of momentum, where momentum is product of velocity and mass. Right? So d by dt of m into v, so this is m dv by dt plus v dm by dt. And this is what is the force. Now actually in most of the cases actually we always treat the constant mass, but there are cases actually where the mass also can change. Now in such case actually we have to use this one. Suppose if it is of constant mass, if m equal to constant, then F can even be treated as m into dv by dt or mass into acceleration. So this is the force equation in case if the mass is constant. If the mass is variable, then you cannot use this principle. Got it? And this is the one. Now, in this particular case, if you want to analyze a single dimensional motion, for that the fundamental rules are, so we will analyze different scenarios. One is zero acceleration. And the second one is variable, so constant acceleration. Third one is variable acceleration. So all these scenarios actually we will have to study. Now what is this zero acceleration is? If there is no acceleration, meaning the velocity is constant. So this kind of scenario is called as the constant velocity. But to derive the expression for any kind of equation, so this is d square x by dt square is equal to 0. So this is the case 1. So the acceleration is equal to 0. It implies that if you integrate this d square x by dt square equal to 0, if you integrate on either side, so this is dx by dt is equal to some constant a. So that means the velocity equal to constant. This is what usually represent with u. So u is equal to constant in the case of the zero acceleration. Now this can otherwise be written as dx is equal to u into dt. You can integrate it on either sides. X is equal to simply ut plus some constant b. Right? That means, so velocity multiplied by the time is equal to the displacement with some constant. This constant actually initial condition. When t equal to 0, what is the displacement value? Suppose when you wanted to measure the displacement, you need to start with some reference point. So let us say this is the reference point. Then you started counting from here. Let us say. So that means actually if somebody is running in front of me, let us say by the time I see, he is already at a distance of 10 meters. Then actually the 10 meters plus some distance whatever he traveled. So that value actually you are going to get the value of b. That is at t equal to 0, x equal to 10. That means if you give this value, then actually x is equal to 10 plus ut. Most of the times actually we start taking from here itself. That is x equal to 0 at t equal to 0. Now in such case actually simply x is equal to ut, and this is the most popular equation what we know. Velocity is equal to displacement by time. Displacement by time. Velocity equal to displacement by time, right? Now, this is when the acceleration equal to 0. Suppose if you take a constant acceleration, now that is the case 2. Constant acceleration is d square x by dt square is equal to a. Now this constant acceleration, actually we will be using all the formulas, right? Now suppose, for example, most probable example for the constant acceleration is the acceleration due to gravity, which is a constant value throughout the earth, right? So that acceleration due to gravity, it will not be influenced by any other factor. So that is a simple constant value. So motion under gravity is always the constant acceleration motion. Now this one you can do the integration. So d by dt of dx by dt is equal to a, or d of dx by dt is equal to a dt. Now you can integrate on either sides. Dx by dt, which is equal to velocity, and this value is equal to a t plus some arbitrary constant a. Now velocity is equal to a plus a t, and this value at t equal to 0, let v is equal to u, that is the initial velocity. So that means actually by the time we start counting, if it is already having certain velocity, that velocity which we call as the initial velocity, so v is equal to u plus EAT. V is equal to u plus EAT. Now this value you can further simplify as, so v is equal to dx by dt is equal to u plus EAT, and dx is equal to u plus EAT dt. You can integrate on either sides. The displacement is equal to ut plus half EAT square plus some constant. Again at t equal to 0, x equal to 0, that is the initial condition. Then this is going to be of x is equal to ut plus half EAT square. Got it? So this is the formula which we are going to use to find out the displacement under constant acceleration. Earlier, when no acceleration, a equal to 0, this is simply x equal to ut. So this a part is equal to 0. So this is the second scenario. In this case, there is one more important formula, that is v square minus u square is equal to 2ax. V square minus u square is equal to 2ax, right? Now, what is this is, so v is equal to u plus EAT, right? And this value actually which we can use, so dv by dx equal to a, right? So this is the acceleration, and then dv is equal to a into dx. So you can integrate on either sides. It's not coming this way, right? Okay, so v square minus u square is equal to 2ax. So maybe actually we can derive from this. So from this actually v minus u by a is equal to t. So v minus u by a, and this is the value of t. So this value actually I have used t is equal to v minus u divided by a. So if you substitute here, then this is going to be x is equal to u plus half a t into t. Now t value you can substitute it. So this is of v minus u by a, and then u plus, so at, a into v minus u by a. So this a will cancel. So v minus u so a by 2 into v minus u. Yeah. So this is going to be x is equal to v minus u by a into u plus v minus u by a. V minus u divided by 2. So this is v minus u by a into v plus u by a. So this is v square minus u square. So this is 2, not a. So this is 2a. is equal to x. So v square minus u square is equal to 2ax. So this is actually another most important principle actually which we are going to use in case of the constant acceleration, right? So like this actually we will be having either zero acceleration or constant acceleration. But the third one is actually the variable acceleration. So in case of variable acceleration, so this is what actually mostly we will have to focus. That is d square x by dt square is equal to acceleration may be a function of x or may be a function of t. Now in any of the cases actually you can use this and then actually try to integrate it and identify the displacement. So these are all the things actually what we are going to study as part of the single line motion. Got it? And the simple harmonic motion actually why we call that as a linear motion or the rectilinear motion is, so in case if d square x by dt square which is equal to acceleration, if it is proportional to the displacement and is in the negative direction of the displacement, then this motion actually always causes simple harmonic motion. Simple harmonic motion. Got it? Right? Just a minute. Yeah, sorry. Right, so d square x by dt square is directly proportional to minus x. Now in such case actually the motion is always a simple harmonic motion. Is it minus x or minus a? Anyway, when I discuss with the simple harmonic motion, I will discuss there is always minus x. What is this minus x is? Suppose if there is a counter force to the positive moment of the displacement, then that is called as a simple harmonic motion. Suppose if you take a spring mass system, now see this. So from here onwards, actually, I try to move this block in the towards the right direction. That is the positive displacement x direction, right? Now the restoring force actually always drags backside. You wanted to increase the displacement in the positive direction, but the restoring force actually always want to bring it back. So the force and the displacement are actually in the opposite direction. So F is equal to the amount of the force that is going to be bring it out is dependent on the spring constant kx, and this value actually in the opposite direction, hence minus kx. Right? So this is the differential equation for the simple harmonic motion. Got it? Suppose if you wanted to push in this direction, the spring actually will try to push away, right? So the displacement you wanted to move it in the negative direction, but the force is in the positive direction. Got it? So in such case, actually, it is always a simple harmonic motion. We are going to get it for this kind of equation. And this is what is the variable acceleration. Because see this, if you notice, mass into acceleration d square x by dt square is equal to minus kx. Now in this case, d square x by dt square is a function of x now. And this kind of scenario, this function of x can be any kind of function, but for simple harmonic motion, this is of this equation. So minus kx by m. So this is a simple function, simply directly proportional to minus x. Now in such cases, we are going to analyze, and till this extent only we have it. So, but not limited to that, whatever may be the kind of function it is, you should be able to solve the displacement value, got it, or the velocity value. You just needs to integrate it and then find it out. Got it? Any questions? So this is all the introductory part. In the next class, actually, we will actually go into the topic. Any questions you can ask me now. So these are, so everything comes from the Newton's laws only. So whatever the mechanics we are going to study as part of the statics and dynamics is purely the Newton's laws. But whatever we study as part of the fluid dynamics and mechanics, there actually it is completely out of Newton's laws. So there are other laws actually we will do it. Got it? Yeah, that's all. Thank you.